When we talk about older women and what truly draws them to a man, we need to shift our focus from what we've been conditioned to believe. Society often places too much emphasis on youth and appearance, as if attraction is purely visual or physical. But older women, those with life experience, emotional history, and personal growth are wired differently. Their attraction is rarely rooted in surface-level attributes. Instead, what captivates them is emotional maturity. It's the man who understands himself, who can regulate his emotions, who listens with intention and speaks with purpose, that captures their attention. You see, with age comes clarity. Older women have spent enough time navigating the ups and downs of relationships to understand that a sculpted body or flashy lifestyle won't sustain emotional intimacy. They crave connection that goes beyond the initial spark. Emotional maturity signals safety, depth, and intelligence, and that's what makes a man irresistible to a woman who's lived long enough to see through the noise. A mature man doesn't just talk, he communicates. He listens not to respond, but to understand. He doesn't run from conflict. He approaches it with patience and presence. That's incredibly attractive to an older woman who has likely experienced her share of emotional unavailability or immaturity in men who never truly saw her. She wants to be seen not just as a woman, but as a complex being with layers, thoughts, dreams, and boundaries. And it takes emotional intelligence for a man to meet her at that level. What's also fascinating is that many older women have developed a fine-tuned radar for emotional inconsistency. They can sense when someone is performative versus authentic. They can tell when a man is trying to impress rather than connect. And that's where many men fall short. They try too hard to be liked, rather than being grounded in who they are. But the emotionally mature man doesn't need to impress. He simply embodies a quiet confidence that says, "I know who I am, and I'm open to learning who you are." It's in the way he handles rejection. It's in the way he respects boundaries. It's in his ability to be vulnerable without making it a performance. That depth, that calm strength, that inner awareness, it's magnetic. Because for older women, emotional maturity isn't just attractive, it's non-negotiable. And perhaps most importantly, a mature man doesn't try to fix or control her. He holds space for her evolution. He celebrates her independence rather than feeling threatened by it. That dynamic creates trust. It creates a container where real intimacy can grow, one not built on dependency, but on mutual respect. So, if you're trying to capture the attention of an older woman, don't obsess over your looks, your status, or even your words. Instead, work on your self-awareness. Heal what's unhealed, communicate with honesty, and show up with presence. Because in the world of women who have outgrown illusions, a man who is emotionally grounded is a rare and irresistible force. And here's the truth. When you become that man, you won't just attract older women. You'll attract relationships rooted in truth, not performance. And that kind of connection, it's the one that lasts. Older women don't just crave conversation. They crave meaningful engagement. And one of the most overlooked yet telling aspects of their psychology is how deeply they value intellectual stimulation. This isn't just about being well read or dropping a few clever quotes into a conversation. It's about curiosity, depth, the ability to think beyond what's in front of you. Older women have outgrown the shallow banter and fleeting dopamine highs from surface-level talk. They are drawn to men who can engage the mind before they ever touch the body. A woman who has experienced life, loss, love, and transformation no longer wants to be entertained. She wants to be expanded. She wants to sit across from a man who makes her think, who challenges her ideas without trying to dominate her, who asks questions not for the sake of flattery, but to genuinely understand her world. That level of interaction creates a different kind of intimacy, one rooted in shared growth, not power dynamics. What makes intellectual stimulation so powerful for older women is that it creates emotional safety. Think about it. When someone truly listens to you, when they build on your thoughts, when they value your opinion, what you feel isn't just admiration. It's trust, it's connection, it's a sense that you are being met on your level, not managed or mansplained into submission. And that is rare enough to be magnetic, but here's where many men go wrong. They assume that to stimulate a woman intellectually, they need to perform. They talk too much, try to sound impressive, use jargon, or veer into monologues that feel more like lectures than dialogue. That's not what draws her in. What pulls her close is your ability to ask better questions, to remain curious about her, not just what she does, but how she sees the world. What she's learned, what she believes in, what keeps her up at night. Can you hold space for that kind of depth? Older women often test this unconsciously. They throw out ideas or personal reflections not to provoke you, but to see if you'll meet them where they are or shrink from the weight of real conversation. They're not seeking validation, they're seeking resonance. They want to know if there's a mind behind the face, a soul behind the charm. This is why cultivating your own intellectual curiosity is key. Read not to impress, but to understand the world more deeply. Reflect on your values. Question your own beliefs. Become someone who finds beauty in nuance. That energy, the energy of a man who is growing mentally and emotionally, radiates. And it attracts women who are doing the same. The truth is, a woman who has evolved doesn't want to lead or follow. She wants to walk beside someone who sees her, who listens, who respects her complexity and offers his own in return. And that begins in the mind. Because in the end, physical attraction will fade, achievements will lose their shine, and time will level the playing field. But the man who can spark her mind will always stand out, always. And when you can do that, when you can be the one who doesn't just occupy her space, but ignites her thoughts, she'll not only remember you, she'll value you. And that kind of connection, that's the one worth building. Older women have a refined emotional radar. One psychological truth that often catches men off guard is how keenly older women can detect authenticity and how deeply they value it. When a woman has lived through relationships, heartbreak, compromises, and personal transformation, she develops an emotional BS detector that's nearly flawless. She's no longer enchanted by smooth talk or rehearsed lines. Instead, she's paying attention to something more subtle and far more revealing: consistency between your words and your actions. What you say doesn't matter nearly as much as whether you live it. An older woman is watching how you move in the world. Do you follow through? Are your values present in how you treat others, how you make decisions, how you respond to challenge or conflict? These are the moments where true character reveals itself. And for her, that character, not charisma, is what builds emotional intimacy. See, authenticity for an older woman isn't just about being real. It's about being integrated. It's about emotional self-awareness, being at peace with your past, and not trying to impress her with who you think she wants, but simply showing up as who you actually are. That's the paradox most younger men don't understand while trying to impress her. They fail the very test she's quietly giving, the test of truth. Not perfection, but truth. When a man is grounded in who he is, he radiates calm confidence, not the arrogance that comes from status or performance, but the quiet power of self-acceptance. And older women find that incredibly attractive because they've spent years watching men fake it. They know the signs. The overcompensation, the ego battles, the masks, and they're not interested. They want to be with someone who has done the work. Someone who's battled with his insecurities, questioned his assumptions, and come out the other side with clarity, not certainty, but clarity about who he is and what he values. That kind of presence doesn't demand attention, it commands respect. Now, does this mean you need to be flawless? Absolutely not. In fact, vulnerability, when it's real and not manipulative, is a major sign of authenticity. Admitting what you don't know, owning your mistakes, being honest about your growth journey. These things don't make you weak in her eyes, they make you human. And it's in your humanity that connection is forged. You can't fake this. That's what makes it powerful. You either live authentically or you don't, and she can tell. The more you try to pretend, the more invisible you become to a woman who's looking for depth. But when you choose to show up fully, even imperfectly, that's when she truly sees you. And here's the insight I want you to sit with. The most magnetic thing about you will never be how polished you are. It will always be how honest you're willing to be. With her, and more importantly, with yourself. Because in a world full of noise, being real is rare. And rare always gets remembered. Another powerful psychological truth about older women that many men overlook is their profound understanding of emotional independence. Contrary to the stereotype that women, especially as they age, are desperate for companionship or validation, older women often reach a point where they no longer need a relationship to feel whole. They've built lives, careers, friendships, and self-worth that don't rely on male attention to feel fulfilled. And that changes everything. What makes this significant is the dynamic it creates in romantic relationships. An older woman isn't entering your life hoping you'll complete her. She's not looking for a savior or a fixer. She's not burdened with the fairy tales of being rescued by Prince Charming. Instead, she's looking for a partner, an equal, someone who adds value, not drama, someone who expands her peace, not disturbs it. This emotional independence can be intimidating to some men, especially those used to being needed as a source of identity or emotional security. But for those who understand it, it's actually an invitation to a much deeper, more mature connection. Because a woman who doesn't need you but still chooses you is giving you something far more powerful than dependency. She's offering respect. It's important to recognize that her independence doesn't mean she doesn't desire love, intimacy, or support. It simply means she's learned how to give those things to herself first, and in doing so, she's raised the bar. She won't chase you. She won't tolerate emotional laziness. She won't stick around for mixed signals or games. Because she doesn't have time to waste, she knows the value of her peace. So how should you respond to this level of independence? First, don't try to overpower it. Don't make the mistake of thinking you need to assert dominance or lead in order to be respected. With older women, leadership isn't about control. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about knowing when to listen instead of fixing, when to support without smothering, when to match her strength with your own without turning everything into a competition. Second, show her that you have a life too, that you're not entering the relationship as a boy looking for a mother or a man trying to dominate, but rather as someone who has built something within himself and wants to share that with someone equally whole. Emotional independence thrives in partnerships where both people have done their inner work, where love is not a transaction, but a celebration of mutual growth and self-respect. Here's what it comes down to. When a woman is emotionally independent, she loves from overflow, not from lack. And when you meet her with the same energy, when you can stand beside her, not behind her or in front of her, that's when something extraordinary happens. The relationship becomes a choice, not a crutch. So, remember this, the most powerful relationships are not built on need, but on alignment. And when you learn to respect a woman's independence instead of fearing it, you don't lose power, you gain depth. Because two whole people don't complete each other, they amplify each other. Another striking truth about older women that often goes unspoken is their refined sense of clarity, especially when it comes to what they want, what they won't tolerate, and where they're going. Unlike younger women who might still be navigating identity, self-worth, and external validation, older women tend to have moved through that chaos. They've experienced the emotional roller coasters, the illusions, the heartbreaks, and they've emerged with a sharpened lens on life and relationships. And that clarity makes them both powerful and deeply attractive, but only to men who are mature enough to handle it. This clarity manifests in many ways. It shows in her communication straightforward, unapologetic, and emotionally intelligent. An older woman is not afraid to say no. She doesn't sugarcoat discomfort or pretend she's okay when she isn't. She values her time, her energy, and her emotional peace. This means she likely won't play coy or hide her needs in a relationship. And for men who are accustomed to ambiguity or emotional guessing games, this can feel both refreshing and unnerving. But make no mistake, her clarity is not aggression. It's not about being harsh or cold. It's about emotional responsibility. She's done the work. She knows that passive-aggressive behavior, mixed signals, and manipulative tactics only delay connection and deepen wounds. So, she removes all that noise. She's willing to have the hard conversations. She's not afraid to walk away from situations that don't serve her. That level of discernment is a reflection of strength, not hardness. This is where many men misinterpret her. They assume she's jaded or too much. But the truth is, most men simply aren't used to a woman who knows herself this well. They're used to chasing validation, interpreting silence, or relying on vague attraction cues. But with an older woman, everything becomes intentional. If she's there, it's because she wants to be, not because she needs to be. If she loves you, it's with full awareness, not blind infatuation. If she chooses you, it's from a place of depth, not desperation. So how do you meet a woman like this where she stands? First, let go of the ego. Don't take her clarity personally. It's not a challenge to your masculinity. It's an invitation to rise into maturity. Second, match her intention. Be clear about who you are and what you want. If you're unsure or half invested, she'll sense it, and she won't stick around to teach you how to lead. She's not here to raise a man. She's here to walk beside one. Ultimately, older women are not difficult. They're just done with confusion. And the men who truly thrive in relationships with them are those who embrace clarity as a gift, not a threat. So here's the truth to carry with you. A woman with clarity isn't demanding more than you can give. She's demanding that you show up as your full self, that you bring your truth, your courage, and your purpose to the table. Because when she sees you living in your clarity, too, when she sees you aren't afraid of depth, responsibility, or direction, that's when she knows you're not just passing through her life. You're ready to build something real. One of the most underestimated psychological traits of older women is their evolved capacity for emotional depth and nurturing from a space of strength, not dependency. It's important to realize that when an older woman loves, supports, or gives herself emotionally, it's not out of a need to be completed or rescued. It's a conscious choice rooted in self-awareness resilience, and often years of introspection. She doesn't give to feel whole, she gives because she already is whole. This emotional maturity changes everything in the way she loves, listens, and builds connection. She won't smother you with affection hoping for your approval. She won't manipulate you with guilt or silence. Instead, her emotional investment is intentional and balanced. She understands the difference between attachment and connection. She values intimacy, but not at the cost of her identity. In fact, she knows how to offer love without losing herself in the process, and that's rare. Many men find this kind of woman both fascinating and challenging. Fascinating because she doesn't need you. She chooses you. And challenging because she won't tolerate emotional laziness or confusion. Her emotional depth demands presence. She's willing to be vulnerable, but she won't beg for emotional scraps. She'll ask you to show up with your heart, your clarity, and your consistency. That's the bar, and it's set high for a reason. And yet, for the man who's ready, this kind of relationship is deeply fulfilling. There's no drama rooted in insecurity. There's no guessing game about how she feels or what she wants. Instead, there's a consistent rhythm of honest communication, mutual respect, and shared emotional space. She listens to understand, not just to respond. She nurtures, not to control, but to uplift. And when she gives herself to you emotionally, it's with the wisdom of someone who's been through enough to know the cost of giving too much too soon. The power in her emotional presence is that it's calm, it's not explosive or erratic, it's steady, healing, and affirming. You'll feel seen by her, not just for your potential, but for who you are today. And in a world where many men feel like they're constantly proving their worth, that feeling is transformative. But that depth also comes with responsibility. You must be willing to meet her there. That means doing your own emotional work. Understanding your triggers, communicating with intention, and most importantly, holding space for her, just as she holds space for you. Emotional depth is not about perfection, it's about alignment, and older women value that deeply. So, the next time you meet a woman who radiates that emotional clarity, that quiet strength, that nurturing energy that doesn't demand but invites pause, recognize that you're being offered something rare, something that many overlook because they're still chasing surface-level attraction, mistaking drama for passion. In the end, it's simple. A woman who loves from a place of emotional depth doesn't want to fix you. She wants to grow with you, and if you're ready to rise to that, you'll find not just a partner, but a mirror reflecting the man you're capable of becoming.